Yo, Poke26 here, and I just want to give a bit of a recap on my Affliction League experience, whether it be Affliction League itself or I did play on softcore trade this league mostly, but I also did Misery Gauntlet and a couple hardcore characters. I'm gonna kind of just recap both my experience, the league, some of the cool things I managed to do, and maybe my thoughts on what's gonna happen with the league. Will it go core? What would have to happen for it to go core? Stuff like that. Yeah, as you can see, the bottom few characters here were from Gauntlet. My level 58, which was my first character, then my level 89, which was my second, and then my level 92. Sadly, they did all die. The first one died to a barrage of archers in like level 2 Aracali's area. They shocked me and just died, even through fortifying all the other defensive layers I had and max res and so on. Next character died in Putrid Cloister, which was also a sad death because I kind of just leaped into, similar to the first death, a barrage of projectiles and just kind of died. So I was even trying to be careful through most of Putrid Cloister, and then I started rushing through because I'm like, yeah, I'm quite fine, and then just boom, just dead. And I was like, okay, maybe I'm not fine. And then third character was the most sad death. I actually died, and not really to the game itself, but to my antivirus program. So there was like a pop-up for it, which apparently I hadn't disabled or something, and not only did this pop-up occur, but apparently it took priority for my input or something, even though it did not show in front of Path of Exile. So the whole screen was still just Path of Exile. It was like I was still in the game, and I'm like, why is nothing responding? Am I lagging out? I tried to exit. I normally play with controller, but I clicked my keyboard as well to like escape or something, and nothing happened. I was like, what's going on? I probably should Alt F4, but I don't think that would have worked either, although it may have got rid of the pop-up if I Alt F4. Anyways, the point is, this pop-up occurred, and I didn't realize until I minimized, and I saw it, and I was like, really? This is what caused it? Why is this taking priority for my inputs when I'm in a full screen game? And, all that. So it's kind of a sad death. I just essentially watched my character for 5 seconds as he died to a mini boss, and I was like, okay, well, that sucks. So yeah, that was a sad way to end my gauntlet run because I ended up not making another character beyond that. But yeah, and then I did have a couple hardcore characters. I think they reached like level 90 something and 95. But they also died at moments they probably shouldn't have, and then I just didn't make another hardcore character. I already had a softcore character before that. I was playing with some friends, so I just went back to my softcore character and did some things I hadn't done before. As you can see, level 100. I think the highest I had reached before that was probably like 97, because really the last few levels are a grind. Maybe I've reached 98, I'm not sure. I thought I reached maybe 98, I don't know. At least 97 I've reached before. But yeah. I went back to softcore, and as you saw, of course, the level 100, but also challenges. I actually got this mighty totem for 40 out of 40 challenges, which was pretty cool to do, because I think the most I've ever done before was like mid 20s or something in Delirium League a long time ago on Xbox as well. I didn't even play it on PC then. I had first played this game on PC, and then I played on Xbox because I had some friends there and I baited them into playing it. But yeah, it was pretty cool getting all of these. Some of them were a bit annoying, like 250 Exarch altars was quite annoying, and the Uber bosses weren't particularly annoying, but they were difficult. My build wasn't in my opinion, suited for them, because I didn't actually go into transcendence and stuff like that, and I didn't actually invest or overly invest in my build to like have some immortal type build. So they were still a bit difficult, but I managed to get all of them besides Exarch. I probably could get Exarch if I attempted it some more, but that's what we got for now. And this was one of my goals, was to do that to begin with, was to get, you know, the Uber bosses and so on. But yeah, I've done pretty much everything in the game in general. There's like maybe a few achievements I'm missing, but they are like dialogue achievements or all environmental lore, multiplayer capture the flag thing. Like those are the only achievements I'm missing. So, and then for like bosses, I've done, I think, just about every boss. Not necessarily every boss in this league, but every boss over my time in PoE, apart from, I don't think I've beat the mirror boss, the boss in the mirror room for Expedition and Uber Exarch, I guess. But you know, that's about it. So it's cool to get to the point where I've like essentially seen and done just about everything. And yeah. Oh yeah, you can just see my achievements. I guess those are the only 3 I'm missing. But yeah, as for the league itself, Affliction League, I had been previously making a bunch of Valdos openings and Voidborn key openings, but I eventually stopped. I do think Valdos puzzle boxes, they're pretty cool, but because people make such trash ones like Sent to the Void and you know, Sent to the Void on maps that give you a reward like this, Fail of the Night, and you're like, why? No one's gonna run this unless they purposely want to die at level 100 just to get their name shown, which is also stupid. So yeah, it's kind of sad to see that the majority of Valdos that you're going to ever open are going to be just garbage. Like you can literally just destroy them because they don't serve a purpose. But when you do actually get some cool ones, you know, it's like, oh, I could actually potentially run this. This is something I didn't do though, and probably should have. So as far as things I haven't done yet in the game, I didn't actually run any of these maps. So I probably should try one of these because they're doable and they have a, you know, a reward that could be cool to get. So maybe I would consider trying one of these ones, you know. But these ones are just, why do they exist, you know? And then yeah, I got quite a few shiny uniques as well. I'm not sure if there's a good way to, I don't think there's a good way to look at them because they're all in different sections, but yeah. And then I traded for some cool uniques. I wanted to make sure I had some of the rarest uniques that I've never really got to use before, especially because I typically play hardcore SSF and never just got to that point to find them or whatever. And that's like Mage Blood, Headhunter. I actually used Headhunter on this build because it suited it decently well. I didn't get to try the Mage Blood yet, but I really would like to at some point. Orios End, Progenesis. We got Kalandra's Touch, Nimis, you know, some pretty cool items. Yeah, I don't remember if there's an amulet as well. I don't know. Either way, looking at it though, I had around 750 uniques. I think I have Thread of Hope still equipped on this build, but if I socketed it in here, it would, you know, be at 750. And I only traded for like less than 10 of those. And it was just the super rare ones, right? The ones that cost 20 plus divines, 20 to like 100 something divines or whatever. But the rest, the rest I actually just found. So it's kind of cool in that sense to be able to find these uniques yourself. And it would have been pretty nice in probably SSF and or hardcore to do that too. But it wasn't bad in softcore, because in softcore, it's kind of nice to be able to just fill out everything and be like, yo, I'm rich. As you can see, my currency tab is filled. I got juice overflowing, 50k in all of these, a bunch of this other currency. I got things that could be a ton of currency if I wanted to trade them, like these capturable harvest beast memories or the other memories, oscillating scepter, couple rings, decent rarity helmet, some good Venter's Gambles. Like there's a bunch of currency I could have if I wanted to trade off all of my stuff. But yeah, got a couple okay tinctures. Tinctures, by the way, not as good as charms, but there are some good tinctures. Yeah, got a decent amount of just about everything. I mean, not a ton, of course. I had used obviously 10 ultimatums for the challenges and so on. Delirium, blood. So you look at it and it's like, yo, this is pretty stacked stash, Tempering and Taylor orbs, fossils, divination, tons of divination cards here. These are all full stacks that I didn't turn in because my currency tab's just full, so it wasn't really even a purpose for them. But there's some non-full stacks as well that have things quite worthwhile. I know I got like a 1 out of 13 mirror shard card. I got like a 1 out of 2 fracturing orbs cards or whatever. So it's basically worth a fracturing orb. So there's a lot of currency just tied up in things. Got some eye jewels, cluster jewels, normal jewels, including some fractured ones. They're pretty good, or synthesized ones. And yeah, just some cool stuff all around. It's nice to actually get these things, but it is definitely a bit too much sometimes. Because you look at it and you're like, maybe I shouldn't be getting this much loot. But it is fun for a league for sure. However, I personally won't miss going back to less loot again. I do think there's something rewarding about less loot and the loot being more meaningful when you find something or craft something or whatever. Whereas in here, it was kind of just like, you don't even need to pick up this stuff. You just walk on, you grab currency, special things, like invitations and stuff and maps. That's it. And then you just trade for whatever you need. So, yeah. I kind of like being able to grab some bases or grab some rares and have them mean something rather than, you can go to the trade market and be like, oh, 6 link, that's gonna be 10 chaos. And it's like, really? 10 chaos? Okay, dude, I only got like, what is this, 12,000 raw chaos? I guess I could get, 1,200 6 links if I wanted. Wow, amazing. So it's kind of I mean, how do you feel about that when you're just too rich essentially? But I mean, I guess it means the top end stuff is still going to be, more costly. There's always ways to spend your currency if you want, but it's, as someone that knows you don't need to spend that much to be able to do things like Ubers, like my build I feel like wasn't even meant to really do Ubers. I'm more of like rarity find or magic find, and I was still able to do Ubers to some extent. I mean, I didn't do Exarch, but I did the rest, right? And if I really wanted to do Ubers, I could add Transcendence and maybe even, like I just trade for Transcendence and Eternal Damnation, Maybe just slap on something like a lore weave if that fits better too. I don't know. Rather than the fizz mitigation stuff, I don't know. Maybe the lightning coil is still better. But yeah. Or I could switch to a build that uses Dawnbreaker shield or something instead of the quiver and do non-bow build, etc. But yeah. So that's how I say it. I'm like, yo, I can already do Ubers if I wanted with this stuff. Why do I need to spend hundreds of divines on these other things? So, but that being said, it is nice to have a league like this every now and then where you are able to just get tons of stuff. I had multiple Arakaali's Fangs, a few Void Batteries, tons of Aegis Aurora, and Prism Guardian, a few Chevrons. Items like Chevrons, I had always in the past wanted to do builds with it and just never found it. And now I'm like finding 3 of them, and it's like, okay. Yeah, just tons of stuff. I showed my unique tab, right? It's like 750 uniques. So, yeah, we got tons of other stuff here. Basically, fairly rich. I can get essentially whatever I want apart from like mirror tier type stuff. So, if you haven't played Affliction League and you want to, enjoy having some of these luxury items and so on, this is the time to do it. But the league is winding down now, and I assume people have already either done so. But yeah. As for Affliction League, as a league, I do think this league was pretty cool. The mechanic, going into the Wildwood is maybe a bit underwhelming. Especially the whole being careful about where you're pathing and stuff to get wisps and things. I think that sort of thing could be done in a much better way if they wanted, rather than its current state. But I also think they will want to nerf the loot that comes from wisps if they actually make Affliction go core. I feel like they would want Affliction to go core, but I don't know. Maybe they would scrap it. I mean, they have scrapped other leagues that had a lot of things, or like scrapped them for now and brought them back later in some different state, right? So who knows if they'll make Affliction go core, but I do think it's the type of league that would be cool to see go core. However, they need to probably lower the power level of charms or raise the power level of things like tinctures and the Magi Ascendancy. I never really experimented with the Magi Ascendancy, but it's kind of a weird Ascendancy. There's definitely good things about it, but you had to be a special build to use it. Tinctures, I feel like, were supposed to be something that can fit in any build, but then you look at it and you're like, well, they just don't stand up to charms. Like, even if they didn't take a flask slot, they wouldn't stand up to charms. But the fact that they remove a flask is like, I don't know, tinctures end up being kind of underwhelming. So obviously changes would need to be made there. Changes would need to be made with the loot explosions, because there's a bit too much loot. You don't really want people to kill a rare monster and have 40 divines pop out of it or 150 uniques pop out of it. So things will need to be changed, but I think it could be cool if it goes core. And like I said, if anything, apart from the drop rate, I would like to see maybe the Wildwood encounter itself being slightly different with how you accumulate the wisps, or how, I don't know, that thing works. The mechanic works, because I don't think it would be good if people were having to slowly move around the Wildwood and find as much wisps as they can, and then backtrack through the Wildwood, collect every single wisp because they're juicing up their map and so on. It's like, that whole process is kind of bad for the game. So we'll see how they implement it, if they change some things on how it works. But it would be cool to see it go core. Heist changes seemed interesting as well with the new rings. There's manifold, cog work, there's the simplex amulet and so on, the oscillating, like these are pretty cool items. So yeah, and then transfigured gems. Transfigured gems are very cool. Although I would say it feels like the majority of them are simply worse versions of the base gem, which feels underwhelming. So some changes need to be made there. Maybe they need to be a little bit more unique in what they do, or maybe they just need higher power level than what they currently have. But some of them are definitely just kind of bad. But obviously there are some good ones too. I mean, I did run through with Storm Rain of the Conduit, which was alright as a support thing. We got Caustic Arrow of Poison, which was pretty decent. And yeah, so there is some value to them, but Frenzy of Onslaught is pretty cool. Yeah, there are some decent ones, but overall, there's a lot that just don't match up. So we'll see how they tweak them and if they add some more and so on, because there's definitely a lot of potential for transfigured gems, and it would be cool to see the future of them and how they're further expanded upon. Yeah, I don't think there's much else to talk about. Touching back on the Misery Gauntlet, I do think it'd be nice if mapping was a little bit easier and there was more focus on just the bosses being really hard, even just tier 16 plus, something like that. I think I might have mentioned it, but like I am hoping to maybe play more keyboard and mouse in the future rather than controller. I do typically play on controller and I'm fairly decent at it, but there are some things that keyboard and mouse offers with speed that, like how fast you can do things that make it so I should probably do keyboard and mouse, even though it's more relaxing to me to do controller. And a couple boss encounters, particularly like uber bosses, you really want keyboard and mouse rather than controller, because it's a lot easier to dodge X-Arc stuff with keyboard and mouse, for instance. So yeah, but yeah, we'll see how it goes. Overall, Affliction League, fun, but more of a one-time thing. You don't really want this to be the thing every league where you're just getting tons of loot explosions on match find. But it's definitely fun for a league. I will be looking forward to less lootless next league, because I do like when scarcity of items makes items more worthwhile when you do find good ones. Yeah. But Affliction League kind of reminded me of, Delirium, where you kind of just soup up the monsters to be stronger, you get a big loot explosion, and it's cool. But same with Delirium and how Delirium is now, I do think it needs to be toned down a bit, because that's what happened with Delirium, right? They made it so the rewards charge up slower, and I think you just get less rewards as well when it pops off at the end. So Delirium in this current state is much more, like Delirium's still good. People run Delirium, but it's not this huge loot explosion like the current Affliction, right? So I think Affliction needs to reach that state too, where it's a little bit lower power level, but it can still be good if you're running it. So we'll see what they do, if they even make it go core to begin with. I think oftentimes they're not making leagues go core at the start and then bringing them back like half a year or a year later. So we'll see if that's the case here too. But yeah, pretty fun league. Nice to see, or nice to be able to get a lot of these things without even trading. And probably would have been fun on hardcore as well, but I did play mostly softcore with friends this league. Anyways, I am looking forward to what the future leagues bring and Path of Exile 2, so we'll see how that goes. But that is about it to talk about on this, so I shall be going.